Myself, MS Are Badane, welcome you all for the today's session on Introduction to Servlets. In this lecture, today we are going to see what exactly the servlet is. Servlet is a small Java program that is invoked by a web server in response to a request sent by the client. In diagram we can see client is sending request to server and server is sending response to client. But all these request and response are handled by server with the help of servlet. So servlets are stored on your server. Servlet is an opposite to applet. Applet is running on your client machine, whereas servlet is running on your server machine. So we can see here servlet completely based on server, whereas applet completely based on browser, that is on client machine. So what the server is? Server is a computer that responds to all the requests from client. Which kind of requests are handled by server? That is providing web page, uploading or downloading file or sending emails. Like these requests are sent or handled by your server. Thus we can also say that server is a software which is going to respond all these requests, and client can be a browser or other software making this request. So any computer can be a client or any computer can be a server, or we can say on a single system also, on a single computer also, we can use server software as well as client software. So this is the server. Generally for this purpose we are using the most popular web server, that is Apache. Generally 66% of website on the internet uses Apache. Why this Apache is used? Because it full featured and extensible, efficient, robust, secure, up to date with current standards, and it's a open source as well as free. That's why generally 66% of websites are using this Apache server. On this Apache server, we are using a servlet engine which is going to handle all the servlet requests for Apache, and that servlet engine is nothing but Tomcat. Or we can say this Tomcat is a helper application for Apache. This Tomcat is working as your servlet container. Means servlets are actually situated in this Tomcat. So it can handle many types of web services. It is easier to install Tomcat standalone than as a part of Apache by itself also. Tomcat can handle web pages, servlets and JSP. So both Apache and Tomcat are open source. Before Servlet, there is a concept that is CGI script. CGI stands for Common Gateway Interface. In this diagram, we can see clients are sending requests to a server. Server starts a CGI script. The script computes a result for server and then quits. Server returns response to client, and another client sends request. Server again starts the CGI script. Like this our CGI is going to work. It's having some disadvantages. For every client request, separate process is created. It's not platform independent, and it's expensive as to open and close connection for each client request. So for this CGI based, we are using the best option, that is Servlet. So here we can see how it works now. Client sending request to server. Server starts a servlet. See, servlet is situated at server side. So servlet is going to compute the result of server and does not quit. Server sends response to client. Another client sends the request. Again server calls the servlet again and handles the request. Means there is no need to create every time a new process. So servlets are platform independent as they are designed in Java. There is no need to open connection for every client request and no need to create separate process for every client request. So these are the advantages of servlets over CGI. Now we are going to see the life cycle for Servlet. In this life cycle of Servlet, there are three methods we have to use. First method is init method. Second method is service method, having two parameters, servlet request and servlet response. And after service method, there is a method destroy. For every client request, every time service method is called. Now we are going to see these methods from this life cycle. The first method is init method. It is invoked once in the life cycle of servlet. Any servlet, once it is loaded, at that time init method is called, that is the initialization of servlet. Next method is service method, having two parameters, servlet request, servlet response. It is invoked for each client request, but for every client request service method is called. After that, one more method is there in the life cycle of servlet, that is destroy, and it is called when your servlet container is shut down or when your servlet is unloaded from your server. For the programming of servlet, we can use two packages. The first one is javax.servlet and the second one is javax.servlet.http. We can see here these two packages are extended packages, that's why they are denoted as X. Before packages are Java, now these packages are Java X because these are extended packages. And for this programming, Apache web server is used. Now we are going to see these packages. javax.servlet package having the interfaces. From these interfaces, the three main interfaces we are using. The first one is servlet package, which is going to declare lifecycle methods of your servlet. Lifecycle methods are init method, service method and destroy method. The next interface is servlet config, which allows servlets to get initialization parameter. The next interface is servlet context. It enables servlets to log events and access information about servlet environment. The next interface that we are using, that is servlet request. It is used to read data from client request. Next one is servlet response, used to write data to client response. These three interfaces, servlet request and servlet response, plays a vital role in servlet programming. Next interface is request dispatcher. It is used to dispatch request. Now we are going to see the classes from this javax.servlet package. See, the classes are, the first class is generic servlet, which is going to implement the servlet and servlet config interfaces. Servlet input stream, which provides an input stream for reading requests from a client. Servlet output stream provides an output stream for writing responses to a client. Servlet exception indicates a servlet error occurred. Unavailable exception indicates servlet is unavailable. So these are the mainly classes from our javax.servlet. Out of this, we are using for basic servlet purpose, for basic programming, we are using generic servlet. So in today's lecture, we have seen general information that is required for your servlet, what the servlet is, how to implement the servlet is, life cycle and the packages required for servlet.